You're muted.
Sure. Coach, can you just talk a little bit more about the milestone victory? I know you're humble and you don't want to talk about yourself, but it really is a pretty amazing accomplishment. I mean, you were here as an assistant to Coach Paul Johnson. You never knew if you could get to 100 victories.
Just grateful, grateful to all of the
to get to 100
coaches, players. First and foremost, it always starts with players. We've had a lot of great players over the years, a lot of great coaches, all the hard work, all the staff members. But I think more than anything, why it's not so much the win, but it's actually been a really cool weekend. Just hearing from a ton of players, ton of emails, ton of texts, calls. I think you can't put a price on that. Guys just from around the world, just hearing from them. That's probably more than a milestone, just to hear back from players and, just stuff that, you never knew. You yell at these guys all the time. You know what I mean? And it's funny. I just enjoyed the weekend, just reminiscing, talking with former players. Just certain things. Coach, remember when you kicked me off the field at this time? Remember when you did this? Because no, I don't remember that. I enjoyed that more than anything. It was to be able to reflect on all the players, Wags, to hear from them was probably the most meaningful thing, just to hear back from all the players.
Well, I know you said on Saturday night after the game that it's a program accomplishment, and it is. And, I mean, Navy's won 100 games during your tenure because they've been remarkably consistent as a program in winning, 8, 9, 10 games a year. Can you just talk about how proud you are to be the leader of a program that can win 100 games in whatever that is, 13, really less than 13 seasons, 12 and plus 4 games?
Well, I know it's hard to win. I mean, this profession is hard to win. You know what I mean? Just even look at the last 2 weeks. We didn't play very well, obviously, up at Air Force, but our defense is grinding it out there during the first half. Who knows if we take care of the ball and able to do some things? Who knows what happens? I think about this past week. We have to get a pick at the end of the half, stop a 2-point play. We have to kick a field goal, a 50-yard field goal into the wind to beat a team by 2 points. And just, you reflect on over the years, just, we've had a lot of those one possession wins. So just very grateful that we have tough young men, guys that found a way to, get some wins. And this profession is hard, man. This is a ruthless profession. This profession spits out a lot of good coaches, a lot of good, people in this deal, and it's unforgiving. And all of us got into this profession knowing that. But really all of us got into this profession because we love the game and we love football. But just very proud of our program. Because like I said, you go from the different things that our program has expanded to, from having a football ops guy, an assistant, a nutritionist, strength staff. This is hard to even stay up. Because everybody, you definitely got to keep up with the Joneses in this profession. If not, you're going to get bypassed. If you sit back, put your feet up, and whatever, look at your trophies or your bowl rings, and I guess an example of that. This is my office, so that's why I meet with recruits right over there. And so I remember meeting with one mom, and she was looking over there, and she was like, "Oh, what are those?" I saw our bowl we've been to, and which one is that ring? We came over here, and I had no clue. I don't know. 2013. I didn't know. And it just makes you realize you can't do that in this profession. You just got to keep pressing forward. When we lost the Air Force, we had to keep pressing forward. We squeaked out a win this past week. We got to keep pressing forward. I guess your question, Wags, it's it's not time to sit back and reflect on it yet. I'm still coaching. You know what I mean? Maybe when I'm in Hawaii, like I said, driving the bus and whatever, how many years that I can sit back and reflect. But in this profession, if you start reflecting on stuff, you'll have a lot of time to reflect because you get fired. So just very, very grateful, Wags. I know it's, I'm grateful that our program was able to accomplish that. But this is football, man. Football is such a unique game. It takes so many people, you know what I mean? So many players, so many staff members, so many coaches. So grateful for all the people over the years.
Last for me before I hand it off to someone else. Did Barbara have a nice giant cake with 100 candles on it, or what? How did you? I'm sure your wife wasn't going to not let you celebrate 100 wins.
Well, we normally do the same thing after games. We go to Safeway. I sit in the parking lot and look at some clips of the game while she, gets some stuff Saturday night or whatever. But we don't go there anymore. We have it delivered because, with all the pandemic and stuff, so don't go to. So I said, well, why don't we go to Chick-fil-A? But Chick-fil-A was closed because the game was closed a little bit later. So I was just going to celebrate by, eating bad for that night and go get a milkshake or something. So I went to McDonald's. I haven't been to McDonald's in years, you know what I mean? But it's kind of nice to get a double quarter pounder with cheese. You know what I mean? Just that was the way I celebrated.
Mike, James.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Mike.
I guess kind of changing gears a little bit here from McDonald's, but I noticed, watching the Tulane game, the Air Force game, it looked like that they really pressed their safeties up, 5-6 yards from the line of scrimmage, but Temple didn't really do that. Do you think that maybe Dalen's reputation as a passer is kind of getting out there a little bit, and the teams are kind of looking at that?
I think that's one formula, Mike, but I also think BYU, they played a straight 50, but they played a soft secondary. It's almost like BYU's like, okay, we're going to play the run with our front seven and be really soft and not let you throw it over our heads. And like you said, Air Force and Tulane were super aggressive. I mean, they basically play with 9 in the box, so you run out of people, even with option game, you can't crack back, block everybody. I mean, and you try to formation them in motion to try to do certain things. But I think you're right. I don't know if they looked at BYU. I don't know if they looked at, Dalen's a good passer and try to keep things in front of them. Don't give up any big plays. But I don't know. But we were thinking the same thing. I mean, just they're a little bit softer in the secondary. And that's probably what their thoughts, but I don't know. I mean, but your guess is probably as good as mine. I think you're right.
Did Nelson Smith cut a little bit of weight this year?
He did, not a ton, but he's lost some weight. And we just want to be physical this game. We just felt all the way around. Obviously we had some young guys on defense, and we were trying to be as tough as we could against the run, and we were going to be physical running the ball. And so, the rotation went a little bit more, maybe more 1-to-1 with Jamel and Nelson. Maybe in weeks past, maybe a little bit more Jamel than Nelson. But we told those guys, hey, we're just going to play both. Whoever's running hard and physical, you're going to play. And, Nelson had a really, really good game. I thought the way he ran set the tone for the rest of our guys, just the way he ran and gave our O-line more confidence to come off the ball. And really, really happy for the way Nelson played.
Well, it's interesting to me because I thought he was a little bit quicker than last year, maybe visibly so. And there's always that kind of, a question of what makes for a good fullback in the offense. I think there are a lot of people who think, well, you want the big, guy with a neck roll or something pounding it up the middle, but that's not really the case. I mean, not necessarily Navy, but you look at the history of spread option offenses and guys like Adrian Peterson or even Travis Sims at Hawaii. They weren't necessarily the prototypical wishbone fullback, but what is it that you look for, in terms of fullback skill set with that, whereas size isn't necessarily the determining factor?
Well, we had obviously great success with Kyle Echo. I mean, big bruiser. I guess Ballard and Catani were kind of those guys. But we've also had Teach. Alex Teach was maybe 210, but was physical, could move, could do different things in the perimeter. Obviously Noah Copeland was a guy that's probably smaller. Then you kind of go back to Swain, who's more of the 240-pound guy. I think, Mike, we've kind of been able to do both. And I think last year just kind of seeing where Nelson's kind of more of a physical, explosive guy, that Jamel had, his top end speed was a little bit better, allowed us to get some more explosive plays. And so, obviously we want guys, if you could be Chris Wayne and Kyle Echo, that's what we're looking for. I mean, those are two guys that got NFL tryouts. Well, obviously, Kyle played in the league, but they're both 240. They're both 4'6" guys. Well, Katani, got a tryout in the league, but they're both, all of those guys in the 230 plus, and they're all three of them could run. But those guys are hard to find, the 240 guys that can run. And so we went a little bit smaller for speed. Because you're right, we don't want the neck roll 240-pound guy that runs 5 flat. I mean, that doesn't help us at all. But the big guy that can run, like Kyle and Eric Katani and Chris Wayne, those guys are hard to find, and so, but that's what we like. But we'll take the Teach, we'll take the Noahs, the full backs we have now, we're really excited about. And so we just kind of try to play to the strengths, kind of the guys we have.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Mike.
Sean Stepner.
Hey, Coach, congrats on 100. I wanted to kind of circle back to that just for a moment. When you said that, reflecting and hearing from players, it was a cool weekend and players telling you stories that maybe you didn't really remember. Does that, and also like the trophies that you were talking about, not really being able to name every one of them from whatever year, specifically to the player standpoint, does that reinforce just why you do it and the impact that you've had on so many guys and their lives over the years? Did you take time to reflect on that?
Yeah, that's probably what I reflected on. It was interesting. It wasn't the games, because I mean, I can remember. Believe me, I can remember the games. It's kind of interesting. I remember the losses more than I do the wins. I remember certain play, man, if we would have blocked this, and man, we missed that, and it's kind of crazy as a coach. You remember negative things. I wish, but just talking to all the players, exchanging texts or emails. Just reflecting on how they're doing in their lives and things they tell me, it just made you reflect that it's more than the football side of it. I mean, hearing from guys in Japan and, I have some funny stories with Tony O'Gully, as we were talking about certain things. And I was telling a funny story to Tonio that, I apologize because I was always trying to get him on the block side. Like I would always yell at Coach O'Rourke and coach the slotbacks. What is Tony Hill doing on that side? I want to pitch the ball to Daishin, or I want to pitch the ball to, Bug. Why are we pitching it to Tony? So there's one play in particular that, I wanted him to be the block side A-back, but he was on the pitch side. And so I'm telling Coach O'Rourke, we were playing Tulsa over there. So what is he doing? Why is he on that side? And, Keenan pitched it to him, and he went 75. And so I told Tony, I goes, Tonio, sorry you had to block a lot, but that was me yelling at Coach O'Rourke to make sure that you weren't catching the pitches, and you proved me wrong. You catch a pitch and you go 75 yards for a touchdown. But just those kind of stories, there's so many of those, just being able to reflect with guys, it just makes you really realize that this thing is more than football. A lot of guys I coach are still in. A lot of guys are out, fathers, husbands, and you just forget a lot of the cool stories, and a lot of the funny stories, like I said, chewing them out at halftime or kicking them off the field. And I was talking actually to Tolentino, who's here, because I was kind of yelling at some of our D linemen this past week, hey, we don't need guys with towels, and stuff like that. D linemen don't wear towels. Just get out there and, we need guys that do certain things. And then David Tolentino was telling me when he and pitmen were freshmen that, you know, I kicked them off the bowl game too. They're on the field and they came out as freshmen with all these armbands and, you know, all these things tied up. And I'm like, you guys are dang freshmen nose guards. You guys are dressing like skilled guys. Get your butt back in the locker room. And so just funny stories like that over the years that I'll be honest with you, I've totally forgotten, but the players haven't forgotten. So those are the coolest things, Sean.
And what about doing it all at the Naval Academy? You know, it's you know, well publicized about your opportunities over the years, whether close or not. But to do this, well, I'm referencing other coaching opportunities, but to do it all in Annapolis at Navy, all 100, what does that mean to you?
Well, I love this school because of the success that our program has gotten. You know, I've had other opportunities. And as I look at those other schools, you know, because every school has their faults. And I probably fight with the hall a lot, you know what I mean, certain things, you know what I mean, or, you know, we're trying to shorten our practice so we can go to something, you know, military-wise, like, wait a minute, we're practicing against Notre Dame. I can't cut my practice short. You know what I mean? It's like, well, they have to. Guys got to get going. And, you know, so things like that over the years that have driven me crazy. I like, you know what, this is the Naval Academy. Find a way to work around it, shorten your practice. But so I guess what I'm trying to say is every school has their issues, but I love this school in spite of some of the things that you have to work around. You know, I tell some of the guys like how long our meetings are, other coaches, and how long guys are around the football office, and they're like, what? That's all there goes. Yeah, that's all we have. I mean, we don't see our guys. They actually go to school here. I don't know about your school, but here they go to class. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'd love to be here. Like I said, no school is perfect. You know, especially as you're trying to get a Division I football team ready. There's things that you battle, but every school has their blemishes. But in spite of some of the things I may not be too fond of, this is still a great, great school, Sean. And the young man and the young women that the school produces, it's unbelievable. It's this institution is, you know, I mean, it's a great place.
Graham Knight.
Hey, Coach. Graham Knight from Behind the Lines, the Academy Football Report. You've mentioned hearing from players from all over the world, and I'm sure coaches and other people. Care to drop any names? Anyone reach out to you in particular you were surprised to hear from to congratulate you on this milestone?
Well, I dropped Tony O'Gully, a player I probably shouldn't. I probably shouldn't have done that because, you know, these stuff are in confidence. But I probably would rather not, Graham, because they reach out to me in confidence, and I don't want to do that. But
If
you know, the players that respond, you know, fellow coaches that you go against, you know, peers that you go against, those are the things that, you know, it's kind of cool because these are coaches that you compete against over the years. You know, so for those guys to reach out, you know, your former players to reach out. I didn't realize that, but those are the things that have been the coolest part about this, just to hear from people, just that you have a ton of respect for.
Gotcha. And as you think back over the last 100 wins, are there any particular moments? You said you remember the losses maybe more than the wins. Is there any one particular moment that stands out?
No, not really. Like I said, I haven't really, like I was telling Wags earlier, I mean, I'm petrified watching ECU now. You know, they played a really good game. You don't have time to, like, you know, put your feet, woohoo, like, oh crap, here comes ECU. They look good last week, you know, just, no, not really. I mean, there have been a lot of great moments, a lot of sad moments. Obviously, probably one of the lows 2 weeks ago. I mean, getting pummeled by Air Force, but then our team to come back. I mean, you think about Temple, and he goes, the last couple of times they've beaten the crap out of us, you know. And when we played them in the championship game, I mean, they took out, like, not dirty wise. I mean, they were so physical. We lost like 6 players, you know, 5 starting guys on offense, and really they beat us in a championship game. But not only did they beat us then, but then we lost to Army, we lost the bowl game. It's because of the physicality that Temple, you know, they playing them has always been a bad matchup for us because they're really physical. You know, we won some close games against them, but it's always been a battle against them. And so after a crushing loss to Air Force and a bounce back coming against Temple, I mean, and finding a way to win with all of our guys injured on defense, I guess that's the one that resonates to me now. I'm just really proud of our guys. You know, I remember leaving the house, my wife was like, "Oh, good luck." And so you know, we're going to have play great to have a chance against these guys. They've always beaten the crap out of us. And to our guys' credit, they found a way to win. You know, I'm so proud of our guys.
Yeah, they did. One more follow-up then. I know that it hurt to lose to Air Force, but you edge out Troy Calhoun by getting to 100 wins before he does. He's one game behind you. Is there any sweetness in that? Does that give you any solace?
I ain't going to say anything.
All right. Fair enough, Coach. Thanks. Congratulations on the milestone.
Thank you.
I'm going to go with Bubba Rosenbaum, who covers East Carolina. He has to get off in a minute. So we'll go with Bubba, then I'll go back to Phil.
Hi, Coach. Obviously, East Carolina has a new defensive coordinator in Blake Harrell. He was actually Coach Brian Newberry's successor at Kennesaw State. Tell us what you've seen out of the Pirate defense.
And obviously come back with a big win, you know what I mean? And so I think he's a really good defensive coordinator. We're still studying, you know, we're in the early stages of trying to formulate things. And so we know this is going to be a tough battle. Like I said, you know, coming off against a big win, you know, I mean, against God after South Florida, that's a really big win. So we're in the early stages, but like every week, this is going to be tough. But so far, I've been impressed, you know, what we've seen.
Anything else, Bubba? All right, we'll go to Phil Bergman.
Yeah, Coach, just going off of that, I mean, East Carolina blew out South Florida by 20 points last week. What are you seeing from them out there? They look like a pretty good team this season.
Well, having your quarterback helps, you know what I mean? So you're in the system. You're more familiar with it. You know, I think that's the thing more than anything. You know what I mean? Coming back, again, going to present us a lot of problems, up-tempo. When you got a quarterback that's been in the system and knows what's going on, it's tough because it presents a lot of issues going fast. They got the guys in the perimeter to get the ball to. Going to be very similar to Temple as far as they can run, they can throw. But again, got an experienced quarterback, you know, playing at their place. This is going to be tough. We're going to have to find a way to play well on offense, try to keep the ball away from them. You know what I mean? But quarterback, you know, we saw him last year, and to have one more year under your belt, you know, I mean, he's only gotten much better. And obviously, to put up those kind of yardage that they've done, the points they've had, they're a good football team.
And then going back to the milestone win, Coach Jasper's been with you for the tenure. This milestone is just almost about him as it is you. Just what's he been like for you throughout this process?
Oh, everything. He was my first recruit. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the truth. When Johnson got the job, I mean, he was the first guy I went after because it's like, well, when Johnson leaves, either I was going to do this or him. And if I wasn't going to run the offense, there was one other guy that I trusted. It was Ivan. Both of us were schooled by Coach Johnson. So, like I said, it's kind of a weird recruiting battle because it's, like I said, the two Jedi Knights. You know, I was recruiting against Yoda, and for Ivan to stay was obviously big for me, his family. We're really close. Our families are close, but I mean, he's been phenomenal, running our offense, coaching our quarterbacks. You know, all the different quarterbacks. I mean, they're asking about the different quarterbacks. Fullbacks. I mean, Michael's asking that. I mean, just look at how about the different quarterbacks that Coach Jasper's coached, the different styles from Ricky to Keipo to Keenan, Malcolm, Will Worth, you know, Zach Avon. I mean, there's been a ton of different types of quarterbacks. Ashley Ingram, you know, has been here. I mean, Ashley Ingram, he's recruited probably the best players to the Naval Academy more than anybody that's ever coached here. mean, the guy's a recruiting machine. Danny O'Rourke has been here the whole time. Mick Yokitis and Joe DePay have been here a long time. Probably Mick's been here a long time. Steve Johns, our offensive guys. I mean, Mike Judge and guys left, but Buddy Green, Dale Pearson. There's been a lot of coaches over the years that have been here. Sean Noah. I'm just rambling right now, but Tony Grantham. There's been a lot of great people over the years. So it's a great accomplishment for our program. But believe me, I get the accolades because I'm doing these interviews, but it's way more than me. I mean, all of you guys have been to our practice. You see me at practice. I don't do anything. I just walk around. So the real coaches coaching deserve the credit.
And lastly, did you get a call from a mentor or a coach that surprised you after the win Saturday?
Quite a few. I mean, more, communications by, email or text. You know what I mean? Just, like I said, those are the things more than anything. From mentors, peer coaches, former players probably mostly was the biggest thing. Just to read their text, it was pretty emotional even. It was a great win, but to hear from former players is not even close. The biggest thing of all of it, just hearing from them.
Thank you.
Any follow-ups? Wags, you got any follow-ups? Yep.
Well, I'd like to dive into East Carolina a little bit more. Obviously, they've had trouble stopping the option over the years that you've been playing them before and since you've been in the American Athletic Conference. But this defensive coordinator was at Kennesaw with Bohannon, so he went against the option daily in practice. I haven't dug into his entire background. I think he was at Lenore Rhine or something, Citadel. But I get a feeling this guy knows option football. Is that something you have to account for? And I'm sure you're going back and looking at his history a little bit.
No, he's going to have a good plan. Coach Houston is, a defense guy. He's seen the option a ton, and so there's no doubt in my mind that those guys are going to be ready. Sure, they had our game circled. And, I mean, this is going to be a tough game because, like you said, their DC has seen it. Coach Houston for many years. I mean, he was was the head coach of teams that ran option. So they know option football. I think their only concern is this year. I mean, Coach Houston just got there. This is his second year as a head coach. So he's not concerned about any of the other games that happened in the past prior to him getting there. He wasn't there. And so this will be the first time for us going down there against his team. They had a huge win last week, just like we did. And I know they're trying to build off it just like we are. And, the team that does better of that, and of building off their last win will be the team that comes out to victory. But both of us are feeling better about ourselves after last week's win. But, their DC, Coach Houston, I mean, this is not their first rodeo with option football. They'll have a really good plan.
And then obviously people have been wondering what's wrong with the various elements of the option, the fullback dive, the perimeter pitch. But we all know that you have to block it to have success, for the skill guys to have success. To me, that was the big difference on Saturday night. Is I thought your offensive line won the line of scrimmage, and you mentioned in the post game about the perimeter blocking was solid as well, and that's why the slots were able to break some nice runs on pitches. Can you just talk about what you saw out of the entire blocking scheme on Saturday night, and did you feel that was a major step forward?
Well, and this isn't a knock to anybody. This is just the truth. And there's a reason Coach Jasper is the coordinator. He's a phenomenal coach. But everything always starts with the quarterback. I mean, in option football, you got to get us into the right play, and the right person has to have the ball. I mean, if anything, the quarterback is get us in the right play and get the ball to the right person. So there are times you may look like, geez, why did they – that was a stupid play, and there's 4 guys in there. Well, the ball's supposed to be on the perimeter. Or sometimes you pitch the ball on the perimeter, or you're outside and there's 4 guys waiting out there. He goes, that was a bad play. Well, we should have handed the ball off. We should have went inside. So first and foremost, our quarterback played really well. I thought Dalen played real well. got us into right plays, made the right checks. Missed a couple of reasons, like everybody. Nobody's perfect. But I thought he played a really, really good game. So it gave us a chance because we were running the right play and the ball was going to the right person. Then the second part, like you said, Wags, we played physical. Our line blocked super physical and our backs ran hard. And that's us. You know what I mean? But like I said, if the ball is not going where it's supposed to, or if you're not running it, I mean, option football is numbers. It's angles. This isn't complicated stuff. And it won't change for all of time. I mean, it's the same stuff that, I learned from Coach Johnson in the 80s. There's some adding things onto it, but option principles are still the same. It's all based off numbers, angles, good blocking angles. And if you're not doing that in option football, it always looks like crap. You're like, why are they going there? Why did they run it there? It's not supposed to be going there. You know what I mean? You're supposed to go here. You're supposed to hand the ball. You're supposed to pitch it. And when you do that, then it gives you a chance, because then it exposes, like, if you're handing the ball off, you're not getting movement, okay, we can get the backer. Or if you get the ball in the perimeter, okay, we're not blocking that correctly. Dalen did a really, really good job of getting the ball where it's supposed to be, and it gave us a shot. It gave us a chance. And so really proud of the way he played. So really everything started with quarterback play, and then everything goes from there. But it's like any offense. Your offense goes with the play of the quarterback. And the quarterback gets all the accolades, which he deserves, and he gets a lot of the blame. Unfortunately, it's the nature of the position. You know what I mean? Because you have the ball in your hands. The guy with the ball makes all the decisions, and so it's just the way it is.
And then Graham, you had one more?
Yeah, Wags actually asked my question. I was going to ask about the difference in the offensive line from Air Force to the Temple game, but I think Coach covered. I'm set.
All right. I think everyone's set then. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey, Scott, are you still there?